What are you We're trying to decipher his print.
Any advice or?
What's on your shirt?
Fish.
I just wanna know.
Fish and fish fly.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, I'm gonna start.
Like,
Okay.
why?
Yep. Yep, all right. I would like to call this meeting to order, June 3rd at 6 p.m. 2026. Everyone already rose, so I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We got a full forum, so we're all here. And do we have any additions, deletions to the agenda?
I just, some semantics, I think for open ed, it's really about approving them as a vendor, even though we include the contract as we kind of negotiate the contract on the district's behalf. So it's approving them as a vendor, and then also just making sure that the resolution to approve the budget is, and it's listed outside of the public hearing, but maybe moving them to business and finance, just so that it's clearly separated. So
Okay.
that the resolutions are moved down just so they're clearly separated from
The hearing itself.
Yeah.
Okay, I see. Okay, I move.
I move we approve the budget.
No, we'll start with.
Yeah,
the agenda. And we're done.
8 out of 9 words is okay.
Did I hear a second? I'm sorry.
I'll second.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye. Perfect. We have some guest presenters, starting with Ignite student presentation with Dominique Huffman. Correct?
Yeah. Share this online. Yeah, go ahead. Marty, and we have a
my name is Dominic Huffman, and I've been a Sisters resident all my life. I go to Sisters High School, and I'm doing the new Ignite program, and this is going to be my presentation about it. So my experience through Ignite has been really good for me. I really enjoyed it. It's made it a lot better. And the reason I did it was I've always been having issues with my English class for all the 3 terms that I've had it. But by now, where I've struggled with the basic English curriculum and getting things done, with this program, I'm able to write and read about something I love and actually find joy in. I've written a short story, I've researched, and I've read. And this program has made it so I actually had fun with it and made it more interesting for me to write about, instead of feeling like I'm just trying to do the mud thing with the regular curriculum of English. And then I've grown as a writer in a couple of ways. Mostly I've gotten a lot more proficient in longer writings. So in this program, I've written probably my longest piece of English I've actually written. And I've always struggled with writing far because I just can't ever get the motivation to keep going. But this program's made it so I can actually do that a lot easier. And I've also gotten a lot better at storytelling and writing in more detail through this. Some challenges that I've faced during the program were my time management, because I've never really been great at that. But when it's something I'm interested in, it's a lot easier for me to actually do. Then also being able to kind of make my own class, because this program has made it so I've had to kind of make my own class by figuring out a plan and everything. But that was difficult at first, but with the help from help from Miss Spear and Joe, I was saying, they made it a lot easier to plan my schedule, and we made assignments together that would fit the requirements for English and still work really well for me, so I can actually get things done and have really proficiency. And then some skills I developed that will help me past this program are learning how to write a story with conflict and development. Because through that's one story writing that I did, I've learned how to write characters and make an interesting story. And I also really liked learning to kind of build my own class. So that would help me in the future a lot if I ever do my own classes and stuff. And so my project, I just had to do my project on Warhammer, which is a tabletop game similar to kind of D&D. And it's been around since the 80s and was written in English, but I think it fits into English really well. I chose Warhammer because it is something I love to do, and it's very expansive universe with books, characters, conflicts, and all sorts of storytelling elements. I wrote about a few things, but I mostly wrote about the differences between Warhammer and universe groups, to real life inspiration of those groups, where there's always like a faction, but then they're always usually inspired by a real life thing. And that was really interesting to learn more about. And then I wrote my own short story where everything's just set in the universe, but I was able to have a lot of creative freedom with it. And like I said, the longest pieces I had to write for English was that story. But it made it so it didn't feel very long when I was writing it, because it was so much easier to actually do and have fun with it when I was writing, which I never really have had before, because it felt more like a slog. And it made my experience a lot more interesting and meaningful to me. I discovered that English could be fun and actually interesting if the topics surrounding the English actually mean something to me. And in conclusion, I'm really grateful for the Ignite program and thanks to Joe Hosang, Sammer Spear, and Amy Bionda for all their help through it. Because of the Ignite program, I now look at my English class in a completely different way. I now have a whole new insight into reading and writing stories, and I would not have that without this program. It made school much more interesting and doable, and what is kind of funny is that the hours I put into my Ignite English credit are probably double that of my traditional English credit. And then that's it.
Don, you wanna talk about some of the characters you got laid out?
Yeah, so these are two armies that I've painted and had a lot of fun when I did it. These both are playable in the game, and then the board's just a kind of battle scene that I made that I could write a story about.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They got thrown out to an awards ceremony.
All right.
Okay, but
Oh.
so you painted all these.
Yeah, they're all painted by hand.
Yeah.
Wow.
But just to add a little bit, when he was starting this, we saw, he was realizing where the character development came from, and there was a lot of history involved. And he started getting involved in it, and we realized, oh my gosh, there's potential for a history credit. And then he was doing all this, we realized, oh gosh, there's a potential for an art credit. The issue is that, you know, we're learning as we go, and so, you know, too late to get that going.
Don, you said what was the longest piece you wrote? How long was the story?
It was 5 pages
Yeah.
about,
Nice.
and I actually got kind of into it, so I was able to have fun with it when I was writing all about it, and I did some research to make sure I had everything right.
So what will you take out of out of this program and apply to future courses?
I think I'll really take the experience of writing a story, and I also did like a 3-page kind of comparing and contrasting, where I got to compare something that I enjoy that's like fiction, but I got to see how much actual inspiration from real life it had in it, and a bunch of concepts that cross over really well.
Do you think you'll send your stories anywhere to be published or printed or?
I don't really think so, because they're more kind of. It was fun to write, but I don't think I ever really want to publish something like that.
I mean, people are very interested in those. You'd be surprised. Anyone else have any more questions? Thank you so much. Thanks for coming.
As parents, it's the best thing ever.
So glad to hear it. Thank you. So we, that's the art collaboration. All right, so we have the art collaboration project.
Blank the screen.
Sure.
Go ahead. Bring up the out. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, yeah, we've got 6 of these. I'm gonna tell you about them. Yeah. All right. We have a presentation. We do.
Which
is it called? Pull out. Outlaw Arts Collaboration.
Did I miss it?
If you go into my folder, it should be in there. We sit down.
Sorry about the delay here.
We'll be good.
We'll go back and see presentation.
It's not a PowerPoint. No.
Is it back by?
It's the one that Amy shared. It's a Google slide.
Okay, we will get to it in a second.
No worries.
Figure it out. So somebody's gonna share something.
Sure. So while I was doing that, we just want to share with you 2 ways that the arts are collaborating across the schools. Paige and I are going to share about one we've been doing for 3 years now, but we are doing another collaboration between all 3 schools that we started, at least brainstorming in like late fall. Was it winter? It was winter. I thought it was like, January, February, March-ish. We're like, hey, we should do this thing. Primarily because we need some art for the walls at the elementary school is what I'm hearing, you know, I don't work there, so I don't have that, you know, but.
Art is always the best.
Yes. And so we're gonna share that, yeah,
We could start.
we could just start,
Yeah,
go for it,
okay.
Judy.
Well, I'm Judy and I teach art at the middle school. This is Paige.
I teach art at the
elementary school. And Bethany.
Yeah, I'm Bethany, I teach art at Penn.
Yeah, and we're celebrating the community partnerships that we really appreciate. In living in the small community that we live in, and one of those beautiful things is. You can say words out loud, have ideas, and people around you gather together and we make the ideas happen. We're really grateful, Pine Meadow Ranch and Roundhouse Foundation and Sitzler SFF Presents are common players almost annually for me at the middle school where we're working with someone and bringing in an outside artist or musician, which is a great opportunity for kids to see that people out in the real world play like this regularly, and that it gives them a different, more unique opportunity. And so, I happened to see some of Austin Quattlebaum's plywood art like this. And after I saw that, I saw the executive director of SFF Presents, and I said, we haven't done a collab in a while, it would be really cool. And she said, well, go ahead. And so then Bethany and Paige and I sat down to kind of talk about, I mean, he does these plywood creatures, he's also a musician. But in that moment, we didn't know we were gonna land on these plywood creatures. We ideated about just different ways we could all work together. And then, as Bethany said, realizing that some art could be adorning the fresh walls at the elementary. We decided to use these plywood creatures to do the 3 Bs, safe, responsible, and respectful. And then the tenets we go with at the elementary school are prepare, belong, and inspire. So this is inspire. And we also have at the middle school, we also have houses, and each of the houses have characters. So should I go to the next slide? Oh, no, okay.
You keep talking.
Okay, I'm so good at that. So we decided that we would have Austin come in and meet the kids, talk about what he does as a musician and an artist. And then the kids ideated for each of their schools, and we sent the ideas to Bethany's high school design class.
Yeah, I think that pretty much covers that. And so we started with an introduction with Austin. We have a couple pictures here. He came into all three of our schools, talked about his artwork, and then gave kind of the design challenges to all of us. So for the high schoolers, we're the like primary designers. So I had my graphic design kids do it, and this was like the first week of the new term, so it was all fresh, like, hey, we're doing this thing, let's jump in. And so we learned a lot through that process, making the designs. Then we sent those designs off to the elementary and the middle, three designs respectively for each school. And then we got a lot of feedback, and we had a vision and a timeline, and all of those things were blown up, and it was totally fine. We got a lot of like, oh, these are cool, but I wonder if, and like I hadn't budgeted for that time-wise, but it was fine, and we made it happen. Oh, sorry, I probably should have had this one. This is Austin talking to the middle school students. Actually, this is not my slide, so I'm gonna stop.
Oh, no, that's what it was supposed to be said. Yeah, he predominantly worked with the sixth grade students at the middle school, and they, yes, and
These are his little designs. These are his, it is kind of backlit, so it's hard to see, but his little creatures that he made, were they for like they were for a festival, a musical festival, so he brought them in. And it was like, hey, here's what I do, this is kind of what you're gonna do, maybe we can design in that realm. Then
this is at the elementary school, so he came and presented to one fourth grade class at the elementary school, and then I used his slides and represented it to the other fourth grade classes, so across the grade level, they were all able to see it, and they were super engaged with it. They loved, he brought a lot of his slideshow, had a lot of videos, and it had all these real pieces that the kids were allowed to come touch and see and look at up close, and he was really great with the question and answer, so I think it really drew the elementary kids in. Sometimes it can be hard for them to visualize things outside of themselves at this age, and so this was a really cool way to get them thinking about, hey, what are we gonna make for ours? How are we gonna brainstorm together for what our creatures are going to be, while seeing what his process was. So that was really, really fantastic. So this is the brainstorm pages that we use. We use the same ones across elementary and middle school. So for ours, be safe, be respectful, and be responsible. We had a lot of questions guiding the students on what direction would you want it to take. We didn't give them any answers, but we need to think about what type of animal, right? If we're thinking of a safe animal, what animal is that going to be, and what animal is that definitely not going to be? And same with, what colors would make you think of safe. And so trying to draw the emotional connection out of it too is pretty neat and fun at the elementary school. And some of the ideas they came up with were so fun and funny. I'm sure Bethany saw all of our stacks of papers that we sent over, and some of the things were just so hilarious. But when you see their thought process behind it, you really understand that they're taking this in and they're soaking it in, and then deciding what to them at their elementary level, what does this look like, which was really special. We did the same with the middle school, and you can talk about that if you'd like to, your process with it.
Oh, very similar. It was really fun to have the kids kind of go through these creatures, and I was really grateful to Bethany and the high school students that they allowed for a revision process, because we got a lot of different creature ideas. And then we have the realization, we already have animals, we have our house animals. And so then we selected what we enjoyed about different pieces from the high school students. And a couple of them, like Charlotte had already had a bear.
Yeah.
Which fit our Mackenzie bear.
Mhm.
And we had to alter a couple of the creatures to kind of fit what we've already got going on.
So this was how we voted at the elementary school. We narrowed it down to 3 per category, and then I let the kids per class take a vote. So this was one of the ones that you're gonna see the design process. Bethany's gonna speak to it, but it was a pretty good vote. They really were taking it very seriously, and also thinking about things they wanted me to tell Bethany and her students, like, hey, could you do this? Could we add this? And so I love that they were really engaged in it, not just to vote, but to also make modifications and really be part of that artistic process.
You can see this was the original snake that was gonna be responsible. And then we added the tie, and this is, I kind of helped along because I was like, sure, we can make these happen. So some of them were like, I took them and like altered them and helped them out, but that's kind of, this is gonna be the snake for the Be Respectful. Okay, so I'll just tell you about this designs that we came up with. This is the Inspire for Sisters Middle School. This is Landis Fetter. And then, so she designed it, but I helped her kind of finalize it just so that everything was like crystal clear for the students. Because once it left our hands, it needed to be like super precise and like there's no guesswork. It's like we are recreating this. So here's the Belong with the middle school. We combined the two creatures with their two houses. So the moose and then the fish writing it obviously for Belong. William was a champ, like he had to start from scratch on this and he's like, yep, I'll do that. And then we had a voting contest at the high school for best design and he actually won that part of it with this design, which was super cool. And then the Belong or the Prepare, this was Charlotte's, this was kind of like hers and like making the edits. Charlotte Beswick. And then for the elementary school, we've got the Be Safe, again, Williams, and he did a great job. And then it was like, no, we want a woodland animal, so we kind of like took his. And then Lino had a deer, so we kind of put them together. And we voted on like, oh, should the antlers be blue? Should they, whatever. So we had a unified color palette as well. There's a little Be Respectful snake, Bennett Hayes, and I helped him finalize it. And then the Be Responsible. So Lino designed the bee, but it didn't quite get the right theme. So we turned it into the Be Responsible student. So, and I helped him with that too. And then we did our little color palette so we could go shopping for the colors, making sure that we had a unified color scheme. One for the middle school and one for the high school. And then this is kind of where we're at, so.
Over at the middle school students primed all the wood. And then they traced, we set up a little station in the hallway. And students were tracing, the creatures out, enlarging them. And then Austin came to the middle school last Thursday afternoon and cut them all outside. And so we're ready to step into the painting process and in our original timeline, we were gonna get together and so that the students could paint together. But since things have kind of gotten pushed back a little bit, we're going to independently paint at our schools. So, but yeah.
I think. Yeah, so we've yet to do the rest of it. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, oh, and they're primed with, with the colored palettes and they're also kind of mapped, the colors mapped out on all the creatures.
We had talked about making it accessible for the elementary schoolers, and we thought of the idea of like a paint by numbers. So that's really how we got to this and having it mapped out. And like you were saying, it needed to be crystal clear. So when the elementary school kiddos are getting this and they're starting to paint, they really know what section and they can almost just color it in, but with paint, making it so they can collaborate, but still very accessible for developmentally where they're at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we don't really need to talk about, but those are our steps next, and we hope that they're done by the end of the school year, and maybe they won't, but it'll be amazing.
Super fun.
And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, and we did not ask how long we had, so tell us to speed things up if we're going too long. Our collab project that Paige and I do every year, it is our monster collab. She has the first, you tell me.
Yeah, so every year the first graders, when they come in, I have them just to try and be creative. We start making scribbles, we start turning them into things, and then the second day of that process is you could create any sort of monster or creature, real or make believe. What would it look like? And you have to plan the whole thing. And they don't know, this is a surprise to them. They're starting to catch on now that this has been the third year that we're doing it. But what they don't know is that I take all of these pictures, which are so cute that they draw, and I send them over to Bethany and the high schoolers for her kids to design and make into real 3D sculptures for them as a gift afterwards. So they get to see their drawings come to life essentially, which is really fun.
It is fun. We just did this last Tuesday. So here's some of the ones the fresh ones. And the kids always have so much fun, the high schoolers, even the ones that are like, And then it's like to have some fun. So they have to be creative in their interpretation and bring it to life and obviously make sure it's not gonna break as soon as they give it to a first grader. And it's super fun, it's super rewarding and like we have lots of options up here. This is kind of, we'd like to take these side by sides all together so you can see the full package. And then the kids like get to give their gift and then they play on get to have
Then
reset.
they play outside together, do chalk drawings and make new monsters out on the blacktop together, so it's really fun to do that.
So, oh, and I think that one was from last year. So
That one was from last year, but it was just fun. I put that one on there because we've done it a couple years now where it's lined up with Halloween. And so the kids are all like in their Halloween and monster costumes. They're getting these monsters delivered. And it like is the best part of their day, which is really kind of a special way to line it up that we've been trying to do in the fall. So.
Yeah. And I would just say, like, the one last thing I will add is like, I've had so many high school students that want to like intern at the elementary school from doing this. They're like, gosh, that was so fun. I'm like a celebrity. I love that. So,
And if I could just add one last thing about this, my kids talk all the time about these little notes that Bethany does with her high schoolers. So they all write them a handwritten note to go with their monster in the gift package. And I'm just gonna read one of these, but they're all just so sweet. But says, "Hi Charity, I'm the one who made your sculpture. I loved your drawings and all the colors, so I just knew I had to choose yours. I had a bunch of fun making it and I really hope you love it and keep it, Carol." So I just think it's really sweet to see them interact and talk and have these notes, and the kids always want me to reread them the notes to them, so it's very sweet.
That's awesome.
that's it.
Yeah.
Great job.
Does have any questions for us?
Just a comment, I think we didn't realize when we put the three buildings together, some of the extraordinary interactions that we could create that benefit everybody. It's so extraordinary, and why we didn't figure that out before it happened. Maybe we're just not bright enough or something, I don't know.
Are you going to continue a three-school collaboration? I know this was new this year.
So it was literally just us like, hey, we should do this.
Right.
So, sure, why not? I think that's.
And it's decided.
Yes. Yeah. And we'll have a new page next year, so it'll be different, but
Yep.
just.
And lovely.
And lovely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Okay, we have community comments. We have two that would like to speak now, I believe, and one during the hearing, is that correct? Okay, so Aaron Everett, you would like to come up?
Too, thank you.
Sure, so when you come up, if you would please state your name, address, and we usually give everyone about 3 minutes.
Sure. So my name's Aaron Everett, and out there are my wife Shay and our 6-year-old son Ash. I live at 70030 Meadowview Road in Sisters, just off of Indian Fort. And we are here tonight to just offer our thanks and support to Superintendent Scholl and the board and the district's efforts at bringing homeschoolers like us into the fold of the district. So my thanks for your all's leadership in identifying this need and working to begin addressing it. We recognize that this is a much different way of doing business for the district, and the change can often be difficult. In my family's case, we chose homeschooling out of a simple ethic to just spend as much time with Ash as we possibly could for as long as we could, and certainly not out of any animus for public schools. In fact, my wife and I are both public school products. And my grandfather was a public school English teacher who organized teachers' unions in the often difficult and bloody fights in Detroit, Michigan over teachers' union salaries in the 50s and 60s. So our son Ash just finished kindergarten as a homeschooler, and as part of our experience, we signed up for Open Ed. They then reassigned us to the Scappoose district and provide us with a $2,500 stipend, which we used for educational equipment to support his interest in different classes. He took a bouldering class and swimming lessons and gymnastics and other sort of activities that we're using to try and help identify his interests and provide him the opportunity to pursue them. She had a really good and successful year using this approach. But what's missing is that Ash doesn't have a connection to the sister school district and the kids of his age group in the district. We have a nice network of moms and dads and friends, but he obviously needs that social interaction. And we're also, proud sisters community members and supporters of public schools. So had we had an open ed style option in sisters, we certainly would have selected that. So we're grateful for the possibility of considering a relationship with Open Ed, because not only would that allow us to be part of the district, but obviously the state education funding that's associated with ASH goes here instead of elsewhere. That's of a priority for us, and that's something we will support as voraciously as we can. And while we choose to homeschool, we're believers and we love that you guys are considering an opportunity for us to be able to support not only Ash but the other kids in the district. So our thanks to you and appreciation for your consideration of the open ed option on the agenda. And we feel like not only could this approach integrate families who are interested in pursuing homeschooling, but allow us to contribute to maintaining the vitality of the district. I'm grateful for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your nice input. Andy Bartles. Okay.
Hello. Hi. So, Andy Borders. I live in Sisters. Let's not say my address because it's being recorded, but you have it. I live right near the schools. So I've been homeschooling for 3 years now. I went to traditional public school growing up and did not think about homeschooling when I had my child. It was not in my mind. 3 years ago, I chose to homeschool after extensive research and multiple school visits. As the traditional school approach just wasn't a good fit for my child at that time. My family and I decided we'd take it a year at a time. Again, we weren't really like, we're gonna homeschool or both projects of public school. Well, up until last fall, we did reevaluate it each year. Until we realized last fall, this was going to be a longer journey for us for homeschool because we saw the benefits that it's had for our child. So I actually left my director of engineering job to homeschool for a time to ensure that I give my child the education that she deserves, that a lot of times you can get out of public school, and it's harder if you have two working parents to be able to get that. So when I learned, and I learned it from Joe, that Sister School District was looking in the development of opportunities for homeschooling families, I was really excited. I've had the privilege to be able to speak with the district multiple times about the development of these opportunities. And I am just really thankful that the district is seeing this as something that's positive for the community. We're going to be able to build an even better community than we have here already. And it also provides more funding for the community, which provides funding for the public school kids and the homeschool kids while providing the resources. So I am really thankful to everyone and Kurt, I've talked to you about this opportunity. And I know there's more, not just open ed. I haven't actually worked with open ed. But I think that that's the right step and that we're going in the right way in the direction. And yeah, so I'm just here to say thank you. And thank you for bringing us into the fold instead of separating our community out. So
yeah, thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so public hearing. So I declare another public hearing on top of a public hearing.
That's right.
Okay, so this is our open public hearing for our budget. And I guess we'll start with the one person that would like to speak on behalf of the budget during our public hearing. Which is Steve Swisher.
I'm Steve Swisher, live at 69339 Oxio, now for the past 30 years in the district. I have served as the budget committee chair this current year for this proposed budget that we've been working on. As I have done for the past several years. Reason I'm testifying at this point is just simply to get our processes on the record, so it's there for auditors and other people to look at and whatever. To ensure that we did a due diligence as a budget committee to review the budget and make basically well thought recommendations. So the makeup of our budget committee includes 11 people, but it's the 5 elected board members as well as the 6 appointed members. And this year, the 5 board members, of course, participated, and 5 of the 6 appointed members did. So we had 10 active participants in our process. So during the process, we provided a opportunity for anyone to write questions, which were compiled, put together, sent to the staff to be reviewed and respond. And those included from the budget document itself, but also general kinds of questions about how state financing going, et cetera. So it was a broad scope of ability to ask questions. So there were 51 questions that were submitted, but 6 of them were substantially the same as other questions. So they got edited, and so 45 questions were presented to be resolved and answered. But of that 45, there were 5 that was primarily simply clerical corrections and updates. So probably 40 questions of substance were dealt with in the process. So the budget committee then went through that. We had discussions during the particular process. Superintendent and staff continued to give updates on where we were in collective bargaining, where the state budget looked, and through that deliberation, we then approved the budget on May the 5th. At that point, we adjourned the budget committee and forwarded with minor corrections and forwarded it then to you, the board, for this particular hearing, and then whatever adjustments you make for your ultimate adoption of the budget. Now, with that process complete, there's a few comments I'd like to make in addition, and that is that currently the discussion during that time and stays in front of us is how's the enrollment really doing? Because that's the biggest driver in the budget in terms of the kinds of state funding that we'll get. And at that point, there's a possibility that with your work and trying to get the open ed and other things going on, that enrollment may come back some. But right now, it's pretty questionable in terms of where we really headed. So I would just raise that as a potential issue that you're gonna have to look at the budget even after you adopt the budget. You still may be facing, based on the state uncertainties, as well as the federal issues going on and enrollment, you still may have to make some mid-year corrections at some point. And I guess my suggestion is be prepared for the worst and hope for the best, but you may want to be having conversations with your bargaining unit chairs and other things. So if we have to do a staff cut, let's review our processes and make sure we know where we're at. So again, that's a little pessimistic, but again, being prepared and working with your employees up front is probably a good idea. Also in the future, not only this year, but future years, you got major maintenance stuff going on, and I'll give you an example. If you walk around the high school parking lot and look at the pavement, you can see it's gonna have to have a major redo, maybe even torn up, repaved, I don't know. But also, we might be able to cut our dandelions growing in our fields in order to sell it at the market over here, at the Sisters Market for dandelion greens. So that's a little bit of humor. But if you look at maintenance grounds and where we are with that particular issue, I mean, we're doing great work, but on the other hand, there's still stuff that catches up with staffing and those things about the maintenance, roofing projects and those things. So that is not only this coming year, but in future years you got in front of you, regardless of what occurs. Now, one thing that might happen is turning a negative into a positive for maintenance. If enrollment does stay down and goes down, you'll still be able to maintain your staff ratios, but you'll have less staff. And if you have less staff, your local option then won't need to spend as much money in staffing. May be able to convert some of that to some of your maintenance issues. Now, you hope that's never the problem because you hope enrollment's up and, you know, you're dealing with movements in different ways, but it's a strategy that we might have to apply in the future. Think about it. Now, the final comment is that the district has such remarkable programs going on, whether it's Inspire that we just saw another presentation of, whether it's the art collaboration with the art community happening, the IEE, the Luther making, the aviation. And if you continue to think about that as well as that collaboration with the business community that's brought the aviation program together, you won't find a small school district anywhere in this state that has the breadth and depth of extremely positive, unique, and great opportunities for kids. And so being able to truly market that and perhaps create hybrids with your new online, so that students can spend some of their time here doing those things that you can only get through experiential, like building a guitar or flying an airplane or those kinds of things. That coupled with your online fashion programs, the hybrids that go together, may draw in a broad group of students to be able to do that. And but maybe a touch of humor, but not completely. You're thinking about housing and all kinds of stuff. You may want to build a dormitory so people with a space come in, spend in trimester in residence to take advantage of those particular hands-on things, and then continue back home with their online kind of work. So I'm just saying, please expand your thinking in a variety of ways. And I would start by saying, improve the doggone website, not talk about it, but let's get it done, because that is the first thing that people say when, sister school district, okay. And it's really not user friendly, and I know we're working really hard on it. But you got to look at it from the perspective of a person who knows nothing about the community or the schools or that kind of stuff. And you have such things that as you dig into it, that is, give you an example, things that are going to be upcoming events, like the Starry Night concert that happened, but it's still on the upcoming events, as well as years ago, things are still on upcoming events on the website. And anybody taking a look at that, is not going to be too excited about saying, you know. So simplifying, bringing together, updated information, being the first portal of introduction and by people in the district. So those are my thoughts and comments being on district processes, and appreciate the time. I do have 8 pages of notes if you have questions.
Maybe somebody.
Thank you.
Does any board member have any comments for our public hearing?
Want to thank Steve for his service to the school district in so many ways. For maybe I was here before you, but I think you were involved in schools before I was.
Yeah, I was superintendent before you become part of the board.
Yeah. But we've been around for a long time. Yeah, I remember we had that conversation. But I do thank you for your leadership in this, and I think we really do a great job with the budget, and part of that's because of the good work you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you have any comments before we move out of our? So I will declare our public hearing closed for the budget.
Is there anybody else wants to speak on the hearing?
Yeah, nobody wrote them.
Okay, fair enough.
And then, so now we have these resolutions, correct? Before board business, or is that part of board business? I wanted some clarity on
You
what
can
you
do
wrote.
business and finance. Sherry can do her business and finance, and then you can make resolutions after she does her report.
Okay,
You wanna do it after the report?
I
Before?
mean, I don't think it matters either way.
Doesn't matter.
okay.
So you've had a chance to look at the reports. Are there any questions? Comments?
They're much clearer. I love these.
This is a good report.
Yes,
And as I promised last week or last month, because of this report, we do have the resolution to do the appropriation transfer. This is to transfer money from the general fund instruction appropriation line to community service to cover our admin fee for the map survey. This is precautionary only. I just want to make sure that we don't overspend our appropriation. I really don't think we're going to. But to be safe, we're gonna transfer these funds if you approve this, so.
okay.
I guess this is a good spot to do this resolution.
The appropriations one,
Yeah, the appropriations, I'm gonna go out of order, I don't. This is now.
that's fine.
25, 26, and 2.
Okay, resolutions appropriation transfer. This one, correct? This is what you're referring to.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it. Right.
So I will read this and then ask for approval from the board. Whereas under Oregon Revised Statute 294, local budget law, school districts may not expend more than has been budgeted for each major function. And whereas various funds may incur expenditures in fiscal years 2025, 26 that exceed current appropriation levels. And whereas the district has sufficient underspending within the effective funds that allow for modifying appropriations to ensure compliance with local budget law. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Sister School District Board of Directors does hereby authorize an appropriations transfer to allow expenditures in excess of the amount authorized in 25-26 adoption budget for the funds and major function as listed below.
I'll second that motion.
Well, somebody should, okay, all in favor?
All right,
Aye, okay. Thank you.
The regular reports. Were there any questions on the projections or where we're at today? Comments, concerns?
This runs through the end of June.
This appropriations,
The actuals are through the end of May.
Through the end of May,
The
okay,
projection,
Yeah.
yeah, this one is.
yeah, so
It does include anything that's covered already that go through June, but. The actual expenditures are monthly May.
right.
does anyone have any questions for Derek?
If there are no questions, I guess we can do this, these resolutions to approve the budget, adopted them.
Yes, I agree. We've had a lot of questions already, so.
Are you gonna read that, Asa?
Sure,
Go for it.
okay. We'll start with resolution adopting the 26-27 budget. Be it resolved, the Board of Directors of the Sister School District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 in the total amount of $38,741,370. This budget. You raising your hand or?
I'm sorry. I forgot to change that. I apologize.
Okay,
Can we cross that out and make it 36,915,000?
thank you. 1,011. I'll reread that line.
I'm sorry.
That's all good. Let's just make it correct. Be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Sister School District hereby adopts the budget for the fiscal year 2026 to 2027 in a total amount of $36,915,111. The budget is now on file at the Sister School District Administrative Office, 525 East Cascade Avenue, Sisters, Oregon. So second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Right?
Perfect. And then this bottom, right?
Taxation.
Yes. So I'll move on to the resolution imposing the tax. Be it resolved that the following ad valorem, if I'm saying that right, ad valorem property taxes are hereby imposed upon the assessed value of all taxable property within the district for taxpayer tax year 2026 to 2027 at a rate of $4.0997 per 1,000 of asset value for a permanent tax rate at the rate, that's one, at the rate of 75 cents per thousand of assessed value for local option tax in the amount of $3,531,255 for debt services on general obligation bonds.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. We have a budget. That's good news. So we can.
We don't blow
What?
One more resolution.
Yeah, I think we've got one more.
I thought this was part of it. Oh,
No.
resolution categorizing the tax.
I think we need to do this one.
I just did that.
This one.
Resolution categorizing the tax. Be it resolved that the, yeah, that's where I'm at. Be
Okay.
it resolved that the tax imposed are hereby categorized for the purposes of Article 11, Section 11B as subject to the education limitations permanent rate tax of $4.0997 per thousand and local option tax of 75 cents per thousand. Excluded from limitations, general obligation bond debt service of $3,531,255. The above resolution statement were approved and declared adopted on this third day of June 2026.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yay, now we really have a vote.
There we go.
Thank you.
No, thank you. And thank everyone.
And
I will
correct that number.
Yes. Thank you to everyone on the finance board for making this happen. Okay, we can move into business finance reports. We just did that, but we are moving this down budget and capital projects fund discussion. Is that what you wanted moved or that?
Nope, we're good.
We're good. Okay, then we're on to administrative reports. And we can start with Megan's story.
Student service is gonna go first.
Okay.
A lot of fun.
Things up.
Fine.
Who's in charge?
Apparently Lauren is in charge.
Check counts goes work a long day.
It's all good. I appreciate, no worries. I'm just joking. I'm joking. I don't know about you.
Not good.
So this is actually a combined presentation tonight from the high school and student services together. If you remember last fall, we came to you super excited about our brand new ramp awards of Kate Ryder from the elementary school and Kelsey Jekyll from the middle school. Worked really hard for several years and we got 2 ramp awards. So we came back from that conference really energized and jazzed up. Combined with a little bit of help from the High Desert ESD, they provided us with some grant money. And I was actually able to contract with Kelsey Jekyll to help us take a really complicated process and make it into bite-sized pieces that was doable for us to work on getting a ramp award, or at least applying for a ramp award for the high school. So we've been putting a lot of work, working towards that process. It's a several year process. So we have some data to show you, and we have Susan Horn and Greg to talk about the work that they've been doing, working towards the grant application. And our goal really is to eventually, hopefully, be able to apply for the ramp award for the high school. And we would be the only school district in the nation that has an entire district with a comprehensive counseling program and a district that's ramp certified. So that is our goal. We're working on, and I will let Susan and Rick take it away. So,
Things sort of, wait. Okay, sorry. Press it hard enough. So just a recap of ASCA, the American School Counseling Association, which is the national model and framework that we work under as school counselors. And it is also the same framework that the state of Oregon endorses as school counselors. And so the diamond that you see up there is 4 different components that we work under. So we define, deliver, manage, and assess. And within those components, there's 3 domains that we focus on as school counselors to support student success. So academic success, social and emotional growth, and then college and career readiness. And within all of that, the ASCA national model, by following the national model, we would be recognized as a comprehensive school counseling program that really serves every single student, based on a multi-tiered, multi-domain system of support, or MTM-DSS. And within the ASCA model framework, we abide by specific ethics and standards and student standards that we pull from and use in order to support every student that we work with.
Got the whole counseling team here.
There you go.
We're all rooting for each other.
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Sure. Just in time. So RAMP is a recognized ASCA model program, which is what the high school, what we're working for, which we'll be able to apply for hopefully by the end of next year. So this year we've had our pilot year, and we'll use components of what we've done this year in order to be able to apply for RAMP next year. But we've learned so much this year, not only from Kelsey, our RAMP consultant, but also from our students and from each other. It's been a really positive year of 18 hours of training with Kelsey, and we still have more to do. But the ASCA model's in their 5th edition, and it is data-driven. So we're really looking at school-wide data, achievement data, contributing factors like attendance, and again, working with Kelsey on a monthly basis. And part of being a RAMP awarded school is that we're shifting from a reactive counseling program to a more proactive counseling program, and really supporting equity-focused support and early identification and intervention. So using that data to really inform how we support all of our students, and then making sure that it's equity-focused. And part of RAMP, I feel like I could go so deep into all that we've learned from Kelsey about RAMP. There's so many forms and steps, and it really is quite the process. And Kelsey's done an amazing job of making it really bite-sized and approachable. And one of the components that we do within getting RAMP awarded is an achievement gap plan. So we are pulling data to see where the gap is for specific students, seeing themes between is there students with certain identities that aren't quite up to the same standard that our other students are at. And so this year we pulled data and we found that our ELL students, our English language learning students, we're getting D's and F's in math at a higher rate than our non-ELL peers. And so when we pulled that data, we decided to really focus on that group of students and make sure that we were doing all that we could to lift them up and make school more accessible, and doing it in a way that's like a good fit for them culturally and socially, and within the domains and the components that we work with as school counselors. And so we got a chance to interview all of our ELL students at the high school and their parents, and then we focus on interviewing the math teachers, so Mr. Oliver, Mr. O'Neill, and Mr. Hirth. And then we also interviewed Melissa Smith, our ELD teacher. And from that, we picked out 3 highlights from those interviews that it was like unanimous across the board, same things that were challenges for them in school. So language differences, limited time outside of school, and challenges with belonging and self-advocacy. And so from that information, we implemented a 5-week intervention small group. We met once a week for 30 minutes with, well, of the 13 students that were identified with a D or F in math, 7 of them opted into being a part of this group. And so we met for 30 minutes once a week for 5 weeks and focused on things like time navigation skills, organizational skills, and self-advocacy skills. And it really was an amazing opportunity to also get to know our students better, and just hear from them how we can better support them in school. So the rationale and goal behind not only the achievement gap plan, but also just for being a ramp awarded school. 8 of the 13 ELL students, so 61% of them earned a D or F in math compared to 21% of their non-ELL peers. And then that qualitative data of our interviews really solidified that with the language challenges and their sense of self-advocacy and organizational skills. And so our SMART goal for our achievement gap plan was by the end of 2nd trimester of the 2025-26 school year, the number of D's and F's, sorry, I'm on that page, will decrease from 7 to 3. And so that's that was like the background information of RAMP, our Ask model, becoming a comprehensive school counseling program, becoming more proactive versus reactive. And Rick is now going to talk about our student standards that we applied to our small group, and then also going over the data that we found.
Yeah, so it's been a really exciting process. And I think it's important to realize this too, is part of the reason that ASCA has us do these small groups is the idea that we take and we work with a small group and they extrapolate some of those concepts out to the bigger school. So kind of focus on a small group and then move from there. And with that in mind, we're gonna basically, what we do is once we figure out what the issues are, we try and find a goal or a strategy that's gonna work. ASCA asks that we pick 2 different strategies. So this is the student standards that ASCA mindset and behaviors. It breaks out into 2 major categories, mindsets and standards, which is into 6 different areas. And the mindset and standards, it's kind of more thought-based, not so much action-based, but kind of what you believe, your own perceptions of yourself. And then below category 2 is behavior standards, and those are a little bit more action-based. And within that behavior standards, there's 3 different sections: learning strategies, self-management skills, and social skills. It's 35 different standards outlining the specific attitudes, knowledge, and skills students need to succeed. So this is kind of the basis behind what we use to teach kids new skills. And on that level, we're gonna try and figure out what it is that we want in here. And so these are the student standards that we chose of those 35. Behavior learning strategies, which was time management, organizational, and study skills. And obviously those are just general great skills for being in school and learning and even just being out there in life. And we could see that that would be very helpful and meaningful. But one of the things we noticed that the students were struggling with a little bit was kind of advocating for themselves. So this is one of the best ones for that, which is behavior social skills. Students got to have a chance to advocate for themselves, to learn how to advocate for themselves, and we would work them through the process over those 5 weeks to learn new ways, new processes to talk to parents and teachers and just kind of general knowledge about where they might need some extra help. So once we got those standards nailed down, we kind of needed to do some pre and post assessments. And so the way that ASCA asks us to do it is kind of set up questions so that we can get pre-knowledge, kind of a test of where they're at, what their baseline is, and so that we'll know where we can support them and kind of also help guide our lessons. So we basically established a baseline, and as you can see, the baselines are all in blue. That's our pre-questionnaire. And then we use that baseline also helps us determine what lessons we might do. We have some general ideas, but then we might tweak it depending on what those pre-assessment baselines come in at. And then after that, we get our post-assessment, and that post-assessment kind of gives us the highlights of the areas that we've had growth. So you can see in this area, there's been a decent amount of growth. And the way this particular survey works is we just take all students, all 7 students, and we add up their scores and we break it out by percentages. And you can see on like the first one, that's that understand what advocacy means and how it can help me at school. There's a decent amount of growth, some less, some more. And really, it's a great way to see what lessons hit and which ones needed a little bit more support. And this is an ongoing process, so we're going to be doing things similar to this in the future as well. This one right here, this is our achievement data results for grades. And part of the reason we picked initially these students was because there was quite a few D's and F's among those students. There was 8 students total, 7 participated. Of the 8, there was 7 D's and F's. And then that happened in the spring of last year. And then this year we have at this point 3 so far D's and F's. So hopefully that means that the number is going down. We are going to look at it more as we're going forward. And this is also going to be something that hopefully they continue to learn on and continue to use some of the skills that they learn throughout this lessons. So we will be doing more data. This one's kind of an interesting one. In that I can't get the button. There you go. You got to press hard, firmly. So we didn't see a significant change in this. This is attendance data. And so the attendance actually got a little bit worse. It went from 79.27 to 78.48. So we were, thinking about this and, we're looking at it a little bit after the event, but this happened. We did these lessons February and March. And so it's important to remember, I don't know if we can reflect back a little bit, all the issues with families we're navigating with heightened uncertainty related to immigration enforcement and ICE and concerns about the political environment. And actually just this last Monday, I think many of you guys probably got that email from the ODE about the fact that over the last 18 months, they've seen people struggling across the border with anxiety and stress from this exact thing. So I actually feel like this might actually be a positive thing. We didn't see any kind of significant drop in those numbers. And that was definitely the demographic that would have been affected by that. So, I'm going to chalk that up as a positive. So what are the implications? So we want to focus on the importance of addressing systematic barriers. So things that we may not see, but the students are being affected by. We want to try and support them with the comprehensive school counseling program, try and figure out what those issues are, and then bring those to light, and then hopefully deal with them and fix them, whether it's within counseling, other areas, maybe just the way that students interact with teachers, or even just attendance. We want to emphasize the importance of continuing to focus on ongoing data collection. That's how we can actually see the issues. If we just kind of guess, if there's no real reason to go a certain direction. But when we actually look at the data, it actually gives us a nice roadmap to go towards certain different goals. We also want to support the long-term goals of promoting educational growth and equity, and also strengthening our counseling program and just to hit it from a data-driven counseling perspective, which ultimately is what ASCA asks, and it's also what Oregon standards for school counselors is based off the ASCA model. So, and finally, these interventions demonstrate the role of the comprehensive school counseling program for improving student outcomes. And so really the question is, what's next? Here you go.
Yeah, so next steps in conclusion. Something that I wish I would have added to the next steps is just to pause and celebrate what we've done this year. We worked really hard this year together, and we will be new colleagues together next year. And so really just celebrating what we've accomplished so far and the fact that we're putting ourselves out there. And pushing ourselves to improve our school counseling program and improve school culture and climate for all students. With that said, though, we did focus in on 3 really key next steps, things that we've learned and things that we want to improve on for next year when we get the opportunity to apply this again and then apply for RAMP, is to expand collaboration with teachers. So really bringing in the full team and the full scope of the school. And then increase culturally and linguistically responsive practices. So we've just learned so much, and we've started using Jacqueline Cordell a lot more, our family liaison and interpreter. So taking more steps in that direction and making sure that things are accessible and that the school is welcoming and safe for our students. And then explore scaling the program to support additional student groups. So now that we have this year under our belt, just like what can we do more of and how can we continue to grow and develop this program? And then next year will be our ramp application year. And so really doing more work on learning from this year and then taking the next step and implementing another year of ramp and then having an opportunity to apply and maybe be the first school district in the nation that's fully ramp. Which is not only a bragging right, but also just better for our students and their success and for our school and community. So with that being said, I want to also acknowledge as school counselors, a really key part of our role at the school is to collaborate and bring people together. And so Kelsey Jekyll, our RIM consultant, huge collaborator, and Melissa Smith, our ELD teacher, another amazing collaborator. Jacqueline Cordell, who I named just a minute ago, our family liaison and interpreter. She came to every single one of our small group meetings and was really flexible when we needed to shift things around because of tests and exams and assignments that students needed to get done. And so she was really flexible and very accommodating to our needs and great support for our students. And then Daniel O'Neill, Dan Oliver, Ryan Hurth, our high school math teachers were also great collaborators. And then had to give Charlie Kanzig a shout out retiring next year, but still really stepped into this with us this year and really helped us brainstorm and run ideas past and a mentor and friend. So thanks, Charlie.
Can you see we hired the right person? Yeah, she is still an intern and how much work you guys have done is amazing. I really wanted Susan to have as much opportunity to do real things and she took it on fully, so I can't tell you how happy I am for you. Good job.
Yeah, I think that we're just really fortunate to have her next year. You guys, you know, the hiring team is a picture was awesome. I'm excited. Hard to replace, right? But I don't know that we could have asked for much more. So I'm really excited about that. And of course, Lorna, she's such a great support. Really, really appreciate that every step of the way. So. Steve, there you go, it's time down there. Steve has always been great, and of course, our great staff over there. So appreciate everybody. And I'm sure we're missing a couple, but you know, we appreciate everybody. Thank you.
And we'll be back next year to celebrate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. That is a lot of work.
How many children are we talking about at the high school and what percentage of those children are Hispanic?
I from, you know, it fluctuates, right? Kids come and go, so it's a moving target a little bit, but I would say 15 to 18%.
Okay.
Yeah, and then you've got mixed pieces too, so.
And 80-90% Hispanic?
I mean, I don't know the percentages when people claim they're Hispanic. What's the question? I'm not understanding the question.
Well, I think sometimes we have European kids.
Oh, like mixed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah.
Of the ELD.
Of your ELL.
Oh, yeah, because of total.
Yeah. I definitely, the majority, like, I think maybe one or two that aren't Spanish speaking students.
So we're looking 85-90%.
Yeah, that's the most we've had in 11 years. One time we had 5 different languages. We had a couple of kids who spoke Mandarin, we had Russian, we have had French. So we've had a variety, but I think at this point we're at French and Spanish.
And next year, I think we're getting a Russian probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
All the students in the small group were Spanish speaking.
Oh.
Yeah. They were the ones who qualified for the small group based on D's and F's in math from last school year.
Okay.
And some came to our school basically not speaking English, really. We had three or four that are just brand new. Yep.
Are high schools harder to ramp certify than middle school and elementary schools? I
personally feel like it is because of the difference in classes. It's harder to push into classes in high school and ask likes us to push into classes. It's a little bit easier in elementary, a little bit harder in middle. I think it's even harder in high school.
And the certification is the same per level, or does it change based on grades? I'm just curious because I know.
You mean the ramp certification?
Yes.
In general, I think it's harder too because and
like this in every district, is that the elementary school has a really robust MTSS system. And then maybe the middle school has a system, but maybe not as strong. And then when you get to the high school, it's different. It's just different with scheduling and interventions and college career. So, so there's just a lot more to getting a high school grant certified.
But it is the same process.
Yeah.
Yeah, same forms and applications,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, thank you all for
Did
your
have one more question?
hard work. I'm gonna say it anyway. I'm gonna
Yeah,
finish myself.
please do.
Go ahead.
You mentioned, you had those 30-minute sessions that you were in, and how did you fit that in? Was it with all the students, or was it like each one of them had a target 30 minutes? How did it sort of fit into the overall schedule?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. We did an opt-in scenario where we went to each student who qualified for the group and asked them if they wanted to be a part of the group. And so 7 of them agreed to be a part of the small group. And so we all 7 of us met every single week for 30 minutes. So as a group, everyone involved learning the same skills and being able to be like a team in that.
And was that during what?
It was.
Where did you fit? Where were you able to fit? That
Yeah,
in?
It changed and
Yeah.
it definitely fluctuated. We started out on Tuesdays during second period, and then halfway through the group we switched it to third period so that the students wouldn't miss the same exact class every week.
Right.
Kind of share the love between coursework. But we learned that was actually a really big challenge to switch the time, like the class period. It got really confusing, and then some students had early release that period, and so then they stopped coming to group. So, we learned a lot, and so I think if I could go back in time and do this again, or for future small groups, I would just keep it same day, same time, same place, to just keep it really consistent and predictable. Even though that's really challenging if a student is missing math for 5 weeks for 30 minutes a day, once a week.
Yeah, the intervention is for that.
And I think that was justification though, was that our small group was important enough to offer them those skills and support and community building, that it would translate really well to their classes. So, and we presented to teachers and everyone was really supportive. And so I think it just takes informing people and collaborating with people and bringing everyone in on the process to make it happen. But it was hard, for sure.
And I just wanted to point out too, we look at the statistics and we just read it and they're just data points, right? But man, it was neat being in the class with us, the lessons, just to see the growth from the kids, and not just like they're answering this right, or they a post answers this, but they're actually standing up and speaking. And the first session, there was a lot of them that were pretty quiet, but it created a community, and that community definitely had growth. And some of this stuff we're not even going to see, but it's going to affect them going forward. They're learning how to advocate, and you're actually seeing it in live time, which is really a neat thing.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, and they know they have champions now that they can go to and advocate for them, and with that.
Well,
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
thank you so much. So.
I always have questions.
I know
What I was thinking.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
This is our last time we see you guys for the school year, so.
I know.
We're gonna share some celebrations. I can't believe it's June already.
I can't use
All right, well, we just want to share some celebrations as we wrap up the school year over at Sisters Elementary, with 9 days left. The kids tell me all day, every day, how many days they have left. It's very cute. And so we just want to start and talk a little bit about our iReady data that has come in. We have a couple of kids still testing, which I know is going to bump our grade even higher. But we have the majority done, and just want to share. I'm going to show you something a little more in depth here in a second. But the green with the lines means students who are ending the year at mid or above grade level in reading literacy. And then the green without the lines is clearly on grade level. So everything in green is at grade level or above.
And then yellow is one grade level before, and then we have red that is a little bit below. But the exciting piece of this is the amount of growth we've seen in our students. So I have our fall scores on the top and our spring scores on the bottom, and they're separated by grade level. So you can see kindergarten's really exciting. Of the 81 kids, almost all of them hit grade level target. So the growth was just huge there. And you can kind of compare all the way down. We've had some pretty significant growth in all the grade levels. So definitely something to celebrate. Even if a student doesn't hit green, almost all of our kids grew, and that's wonderful. I'm gonna take a look at math here. This is our overall everybody at school. And then if you want to look here, we had, again, significant growth in math for all of our grade level bands, kindergarten through fifth.
Real quick question, when is when does the fall scoring take place? That's
Yeah, we do that at the end of September.
end of September.
And then we just wrapped up. And what's really cool for me to see, coming from middle school where kids are pretty over ready by the time they're done with state testing. Elementary, there's just a little more energy. These kids took this right after state testing and still did such a great job. And yeah, just pretty impressed by the growth. So wanted to share that with you guys and celebrate.
Thank you.
And then we, in the fall, I think it was a October board meeting, maybe we shared that we had some goals for our Belong, Prepare and Inspire teams. And so I'm gonna let Jana kind of ran the Belong team with the goal. I'm gonna let her share out. I'll share out Prepare, and then I'll throw it back to her for Inspire.
Yeah, so I got to run the Belong team with Kate. I don't know if she's there, I think she left. And it was really fun to just kind of work with teachers to figure out how to make our students feel like they're part of the team anymore. So our goal was really focused on implementing a consistent and proactive, similar to what they were talking about with the RAMP, data-driven behavior program that promotes positive student conduct, reinforces school-wide expectations, and fosters a safe, respectful, and inclusive learning environment for all students and staff, as measured by a reduction in office discipline referrals, increased positive behavior acknowledgements, and improved climate survey results from staff and students. So the ways we did that was we implemented Be the Three again this year, which is to be safe, be respectful, be responsible. We also have weekly care team meetings. Have you talked about them with the board, Mary? No. So the care team meeting is kind of like our MTSS team where we meet with each grade level each week and rotate, and it's the students that need just a little bit of an extra boost. They're not necessarily like the kids struggling the most, but we use data to define, we look at their academics, their behavior, and their attendance to see different ways we can support them. And then we really prioritized the positive this year. So our amazing EAs built a shout out board in the cafeteria. And so students could shout out each other, they could shout out staff, staff could shout out students as well. And then we have school-wide golden horseshoes that are given out to kids for many reasons, including the Be the Three. And then we did a lot more community building this year. So we brought back, thankfully Ms. Thomas brought back our student versus staff games. So we played basketball and hockey. It was very fun and very hot, but it was very fun. And then we also have our VIP recesses still going on where community members can come in Fridays and have recess with our kids. And then we did some community service events this year. Our kindergartners painted rocks to go on a path and like at the bottom of our flagpole. First grade made flower baskets to get to or to deliver to the retirement home. And then our third graders wrote letters to seniors to like encourage them for the last month of school before they graduated. And our fourth grade also did a cleanup day. I forgot to put that on there. So.
Great things going on with the Belong team.
When did the staff versus students events take place? Are they continual or are they like?
It was, oh my gosh, we did basketball was recent. Was it January?
January was hockey, I think.
Okay. Next year we're gonna do it more in the fall.
Okay.
We also had Steve come because he plays hockey all the time, so he was
really
really
good.
good. He was really good. He was incredible.
On the whole, I had a knee surgery right after.
Yeah.
Okay. That was different. That was
Yeah.
different.
It was the basketball game. A lot of the staff dresses up and like Ashley Thomas wore oven mitts to play, and like Annie Reed wore this massive sloth head. And she couldn't see anything, but she's like running down the court trying to dribble. You guys, we'll invite you next year because it's very entertaining.
It's a good time.
Great.
Prepare team. So we had a change of plans midway through because we realized we bit off way more than we could chew this year, which is okay, totally fine. It gives us something to work on for next year as well. Originally, we had a lofty goal to have 80% of our students improve their writing by moving up a performance level. But what we didn't realize was we had so much more back work to do before we could really get there. So we updated it in the early winter that by May, students at Sisters Elementary would take a winter and spring writing assessment and be assessed using aligned writing rubrics. So we spent a ton of time this year establishing grade level aligned writing rubrics. That hadn't been done in years and years. So that was really great collaborative work together. And then we administered winter and spring assessments. We just did them, tried them out, figured out how much time it takes to assess and use these rubrics. So there's really lots of tweaking. One of the coolest things we did was we built a shared bank of grade level writing prompts. So the teachers could go in and decide together as a team which writing prompt we're going to use in the winter and in the spring, and they can switch them around. And then we launched a writing data tracker, so that allows our teams to document, monitor, and respond to the data. So looking ahead for next year, we'd like to revisit the original lofty goal, which is that, using this data tracker that we built and monitoring progress, we can start making some headway with like that 80% and really seeing some writing improvement at Sisters Elementary for all grade levels. So yeah, it was good work this year, just a lot more than I think we expected, and I'm excited to keep digging in next year. So any questions about that one? Gretchen Lane is one of our teachers, and she led our Inspire team this year. And she wrote a little, I'm gonna have Jana share it. She wrote, but she wasn't here, she's not here tonight to share, so we'll do that for her.
Yeah, so their goal was that by the end of the school year, each student in grades K through 5 will participate in a buddies program, where older and younger students are paired to engage in a variety of activities and explore different interests. Each student will compete in at least 6 activities with their buddy class and reflect on their experience using a grade appropriate tool. Teachers will support the program by providing activity choices tailored to student interests. It was successfully implemented across all the grade levels, and it did increase students' sense of belonging because they were building relationships across the school, which was really amazing to see. They had a bunch of different activities they did to help promote leadership, and again, that sense of school community. Teachers were really supportive of the program. They offered the engaging activities. They also offered their time to figure out when to do it. I think our 3rd grade team was extremely creative because there was 3 and kindergarten had 4, so they were able to kind of move their kids around to see what would work best. So they really adapted well to that. And most of the grade levels did complete their targeted number of activities. They're still working to collect reflections on the student experience to help guide the work in the future. So the goal is to increase consistency in scheduling and documenting buddy activities. And then it says it's not specifically included the SMART goal, but they also had a school-wide career week, which I like to call Gretchen's baby because she works extremely hard to do this. And it's a really fun week-long experience. And so students were engaged the whole time, and they really got to think about where they want to be in the future. And it's really fun listening to kindergartners share what I want to be when I grow up. I mean, it's fun to hear everybody, but kindergartners are cute. They also participated during Career Week in a CrossFit class that was taught by some of our volunteers. And then there was vehicle lineup, which had professionals from a ton of different fields. They had Oregon Police came with their truck that had all the taxidermied animals that had been poached, and the kids loved it. And there was the firefighters, the ambulance, and then some farm equipment, which was the kids absolutely loved seeing just how massive all those tools were. So that was a huge success.
This year's just been absolutely incredible. I want to thank everybody here for helping make my first year so incredible. So many amazing things happened. But there also is there's things that I'm already looking ahead to start working on for next year.
along with Mrs. Giles here. We wanna, really deepen teacher capacity through professional development and our new benchmark literacy curriculum. That was new to us this year, and our teachers were really learning a lot. And I'm really proud of them for holding strong all year and making it through. And our kids' data shows that it's great. And so just continuing to work on that. That year two is always better with a new curriculum. So I'm excited. Gemma talked about care teams, so continue to strengthening our care team structure just by being proactive and identifying and supporting students whose data indicates a need for some more intervention. And then continue to elevate the writing instruction that's starting at Sisters Elementary. So really excited to start planning ahead. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Not as creative as the elementary team, so. Oh, rainbow over Sisters Middle School.
Supposed to have a thunder shower.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
No, not that day. This was a December day, actually, we have that, so. Good evening, everybody. We're excited to share a little about the middle school, and just like Megan, I'm gonna share a little about some of our goals, remind you of our goals, and kind of share some updates on some information. So our goal, Megan talked about iReady, we also use iReady, but we drilled into specifically numbers and operations. And so how kids can utilize and understand those numbers using them in arithmetic, a skill that kind of starts in elementary and obviously they use all the way through high school. So wanting to improve that score, that was what we said in the fall. Here, not going to have you read through all our different action steps. I think Todd gives you access to this if you want it, but in working through all these action steps, we predominantly worked through all of them this year and felt like we were able, those were helpful in the work we did in math throughout the building. Well, you'll see this kind of throughout the middle school, but that idea of belong, prepare, and inspire, but specifically really trying to connect with kids that are struggling. We implemented a middle school 101 class this year for our sixth graders, so they have a class where they get a little additional support at the end of every day. We're tweaking that and adjusting that next year, because what we found is it was hard to get every kid that, and so we're making an adjustment to make sure every student gets that support. And then we talked about a champions team program where we identify struggling students, if you remember that, and we assign them to adults. Really had some positive impact from that this year. Just one quick story, we had an eighth grader who's had a tough schooling all the way along, really connected with our front office ladies that they met weekly. The student was probably starting about January, would just come in, can we meet today? Can we meet this week sometime? And was really starting to be a self-advocate for that meeting because she found the success in that as the student. And that's when you know it's working, when the kids are looking for it. So super excited by that. So let's see if we can get some numbers to come up in here. That was our fall where we started. Our goal was 50%. By winter, we were close. And by spring, almost there. I do want to, I put it in yellow because that's the number, we didn't make it. That said, I made a choice and talked to Kurt about this to not have our eighth graders do iReady testing this spring. And and the reason for that is they have an additional state test that the sixth and seventh graders don't with science. They have multiple high school placement tests as well. And so to have that many tests just didn't seem like a reasonable approach. And what I wanted to share in regards to I wrote OSAS next to them. So the state testing that in math as a whole, the state was at there. The state of Oregon for being proficient in 8th grade standards was 30%. Our 8th graders were at 57%. So again, we did that in May, and when I started seeing those preliminary results come back, another reason why I made the decision to not assess them. But if I put a 57% in there, it actually gets us over the hump to that. So
This deserves a little bit of a rant, because Justin and I had a conversation about this with the accountability measures coming on. I contacted the state and said, it doesn't make any sense that we get to take iReady 3 times. Because that's what the accountability requirement is, doesn't matter what grade level. Since we're gonna do that 3 times, and then we're gonna do math, science, reading, writing in our state assessment.
Right.
And then we have placements, just like we talked, and that doesn't make any sense. And our idea was, Justin did the research, went back several years, that we've seen a typical 1% growth from the winter to the spring. So we were just gonna push the winter test out to as late as you could in that window, and then not do a spring and focus on smarter balance assessment. They're telling us we can't do that. So the option is then we do that, and kids are fatigued when they take the smarter balance, then we don't do as well in the smarter balance, which is where the accountability does, which every kid can also opt out. So it's gonna be an interesting journey next year. So we'll see where that, so I couldn't help myself, but
and one you might realize Kurt and I are not done with. We're not done fighting the good fight on that one. So we'll see where it ends up. Also, just for the board's knowledge, did chat with Steve about this from the high school, because we want to make sure we're giving good information and data to the high school. We're looking at some ways to be more efficient with data as well, so that we get our kids best, but we're not overdoing all of that as well. So some things in the works there, but wanted to share that with you. I'm super proud of our 8th graders in their state testing, as well as the growth of our school. Still ways to go, and we'll continue to push and get better, but solid years so far in the math lane. Our other goal we did around reading using iReady was we were looking at informational text. So we know a lot of school reading is about informational text, and so we focused on that. Our 6th graders, 52% in the winter. Typically, again, Kurt just touched on it. We often see in the spring, and even Megan touched on it as well. We see in middle school that spring assessment doesn't always show the growth that we hope. It kind of either flatlines or goes the opposite way, and not always, which you'll see. But I did look back historically a couple of years, and it's been minimal growth from winter to spring over the past handful of years. So close to our goal of 54%, not quite there. Our 7th graders, goal was a little different. They started significantly lower. They got there in the winter. You see again a dip in the spring. They didn't lose their skills. When you show proficiency, you're there. But again, that gets into some effort issues there. So our fall for our 8th graders, again, pretty strong start for them in the fall, winter time, and then again did not assess them in reading. And the initial scores coming back from our state assessment for our kiddos in reading or language arts, the state average 42%, our 8th graders were 67%.
Oh, wow.
So again, it kind of holds true to their informational text, but it assesses more than that. But again, they definitely are there and pleased about their efforts and their growth this year. Just quickly along our belong lane, I have our action steps here, touch on just a couple highlights. We're super proud of our youth group data, shared that in the wintertime of being in the 75 on up to the 90% range of all middle schools in the state. We're gonna be ready to work hard to keep that in that place next year. But feeling real strong about that. And I spoke with some parents at conferences, I think, and even the parents earlier. We feel like we need to do we need to use that as marketing, so we need to, we're gonna really think about how we share that out in the fall in our open houses, because we think that's important information to share. Keep trucking along here. That's the one I was waiting for, one more bullet. We did work with SES this year, having our 8th graders come over and work with 1st and 2nd graders. You kind of mentioned that, 20, 25, 26 kiddos. We culminate that tomorrow with our last day for that. And then we also sent a few young lads, 8th graders over to help with recess for football, basketball with 3rd graders. So definitely expanding that connection throughout two buildings. Jeff talked about it earlier, just it lends itself to that opportunity for our kids, and we want to build on that. So just some pictures of belonging. This on the left is our unified basketball game. So we hosted at City and Middle School, unified basketball, kids playing there. And then one of our belong assemblies where we're surfing mats and with human logs beneath. So nobody was injured in that photo. Our Inspire, our goal, just want to kind of mention that, getting our champions team going and increasing mentorship opportunities. So again, won't read through all these, but we talked about, got the champions team going, have multiple students that are getting regular support and check-ins. Want to continue to build on that for next year, but definitely there's success stories with that. And I shared the one student coming in regularly. We see grades improve, we see behavior go down, and kids have a connection like that. We are we worked on getting a career day going. We didn't feel like we'd pull it off this spring, so we're going to go in the fall. And so we started that ASIC conferences. We had handouts, and we started building our group for who's going to hear out at a career day for us in the fall. We'll invite you to that and remind you of all that in the fall when we come back. And we did take our kids on field trips. Our 7th graders went to U of O, our 8th graders went to OSU. We had kids go to our 7th graders to Smith Rock. We've had multiple field trips from our Soul with our counselor, Mr. Jackson, to our Ecos. But lots of opportunities for our kids to get out of the 4 walls of the classroom, which I think is critical. Cafe model, that's one we didn't get to this year that we'll hope to bring back. We've got some transition work going with our elementary school and the high school as well. Those are in process right now, again, to get our kids thinking forward, either forward to us or forward to the high school. We have our 5th grade move up day, bringing that back for all of you that have been here a while. That's coming back next Tuesday, parent night. So the kids come Tuesday afternoon, parents come Tuesday evening. And then we had our kids went over to the high school lab. What's that, last week? Last Tuesday. Yeah. Had a great experience going over there. So there's the transition pieces. And so this is the mentor over at the elementary school. So in our one of the couple things we did, they mentioned they read, so they read a book. And then there is a STEAM activity. So the one on the left, you can see marshmallows and spaghetti, hard spaghetti, and then the one on the right, they were building a structure that could be freestanding. How tall could they make a structure that was freestanding? And then Todd will play a video in just a second, but I'll set the stage for that, because the inspiration is literally in the first 3 seconds of, you got to watch the kids like expressions. So we were at Oregon State. And they did a breakout, or they had different sessions. The kids were in there and they learned about wind power. And so they talked about wind turbines and just kind of what they do, how to build them. And the kids had about 20 minutes to design their own. And then they had about 10 or 15 minutes to build it. And then they got to go test it. And so it was this group that put theirs on the tester for the first time. And this is their kind of reaction. Hopefully. You made it big, Todd. Can you play it one more time? Oh, that's fine. So it's hooked to their reading how much power it's putting out, and so when they first saw it spinning, that's when they were like, "Whoa, it's actually working!" And then, looking at what how much power it's putting out. So again, just getting kids opportunities to inspire them for the future, what they expose them to a variety of things, what they may want to do at some point. So that's kind of what we got going on at the middle school. And like Megan, just want to say thanks to I look at this as a team, all of you and all the folks behind me and in my building, having a great first year back in this role at Sisters and returning. So I'll be answering any questions if anybody has any. Thank you so much. Go ahead.
But my team has spoken.
Yes.
For them, but I will field any questions in as much, and part of the reason for that is our data is forthcoming. We're finishing up testing this week. We won't know about our freshmen on track till the end of the term, although we were doing well at the end of the second term, and then obviously same thing with grad rates. So anyway, yeah.
Well, thank you for a successful year.
And graduation on the 12th.
Oh, yeah, you're all invited. Yes. We'll have reserved seating down in front. Asa, your spot is on stage. But usually we have about 4 or 5 reserved seats kind of down in this near the staff section. Yeah.
Perfect. Looking forward to it. Anyone have any questions for Steve before we question Kurt?
No, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Steve. You're on, sir.
Yeah, as discussed, we continue to track our enrollment. I will say, I think that the outreach that's happening, the programming, the leadership that's happening in the buildings, it's, I'm nervous, but cautiously optimistic about where we're going and what we're doing and the programming and being creative and building more community and bringing more folks into the community. So we feel really good about that. Even though our numbers did drop a little bit here in this last month. Again, I think we're taking the right steps to engage folks. No updates on assets other than we've gotten some bills from attorneys. We're doing work, we're moving forward. We're in some of the final processes with the property next to the elementary school, rezoning that for residential. This is still in process, and then working with the attorney with possibility of this facility. So still working through those processes. It was asked today, even though it was in public session a while ago, about the Cloverdale property, and actually had a homeschool person ask if it would be available for use when Hardivore, because they read Hardivore, he was leaving it, and it's actually not ours anymore technically. So I was able to inform them of that. So continue to move forward with those projects, and the good news is we do have space to support some of these alternative ideas that a lot of districts are challenged because they don't have space, and we have options to support various forms of kids and families in their journey. I will continue to say this, we want to include everybody for people who want those options, but we have great staff, right? Being live in person, I believe is still the best way. We have some options with kids who are doing some, as you saw the Ignite program, they're still live and in person, right? They're just doing it in self-directed work. So I would still, want to promote how strong our staff is and their ability to work and support kids and families. So that's still under more options. But as the folks talked about, that's not what everyone wants. And so if we can provide that service and benefit everybody and make them a part of the community, that's what we're about. So we're excited about those opportunities as we move into the spring, or excuse me, the fall. And I'm not gonna, you said, we did a really good job of hiring people. I mean, it's really great when you can see what's happening in the district. I don't know that there's much more to be said than wasn't shown tonight, with both our staff presentations and with the kids represented. So just really excited to finish strong. It's been a sprint. I think Megan might have said to me, how does the elementary school do all this stuff all at the end of the school year? It is a lot. There's a lot going on in the spring. It's really busy. Our principals, actually all of our administrative staff, do a great job of supporting each other, working through those things, and our staff in general, because they're in the trenches doing the work, getting it done. So it's really great to have such good mission focused people who care about kids moving forward. So it's really kudos to our staff and our district leaders for where we're headed. And at that, unless there's questions about things.
Eric, you said you always have a question.
Good question. It's percolating, but I don't think I have anything there.
It's been a good year.
Yeah.
It has been.
Yep.
It's been a tough year, but it's been a good year.
Yeah, it's busy and a lot of good conversations. Actually, I will say that. I mean, Open Ed came because of us engaging the community in conversations about what could we do next and how do we engage folks who aren't choosing sisters. And that flexible option was one. So I'm gonna use the opportunity to transition to board business and ask the board that they go ahead and approve Open Ed as a vendor for us, so that I can officially sign the contract and get them on board and we can start promoting them with our families.
I move that we approve the distance education service agreement.
As a vendor.
Yes.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
And then I see a follow-up on the AQI committee.
Yeah, and I'll let Eric jump in, but just follow up. We talked about it. I think it would be healthy. And I don't see any, and so I guess I would throw it forward, but I don't see any reason why Eric couldn't chair a committee as long as he doesn't get enough board members to create a forum. If people were so, and reach out to staff and some community members to talk about this issue, see if there's a way to look at that moving forward. And whether a policy comes out of it, I think the conversation would be a really good one to have. And so and Eric, I don't want to speak for you, but I guess I am, but I'll let you jump in and follow up, but I know it's important. Important to all of us.
Yeah, so after, I think just as a bit of background for those that may have heard this pitch before, a number of us were on the board were approached after the smoke event back in April now, and part of the outcome of that was learning that as a district we haven't had enough of these events to have clarified what our policies, our actions are, the steps we should be taking to both monitor, communicate with families, and also sort of maintain the health and well-being of our students and staff. And so to that end, I'm interested in, I'm proposing tonight to establish an indoor air quality committee to sort of explore what the impacts are, to help identify recommendations both for actions and procedures that we can take, as well as policy that we could potentially adopt as a district, to sort of understand how we can be proactive when it comes to these events. I'm firmly of the belief that this is not an isolated situation. We're going to be seeing more of these. Sisters is well posed at the urban wildland interface, and through partnerships with the community and others, I'm looking forward to having conversations and figuring out what, if anything, that we can do. If nothing comes of this, we've at least learned and had that conversation. But I do think there are opportunities for us to be front runners and thinking about how we can manage this in a effective way. Give our families and our staff and our community some assurances that we are being mindful of what these impacts are.
And to that, then we don't even have certified AQI reader. We don't have air quality index readers in the building, right? That's been was a challenge with some of the information is that how accurate is it? It's not. I mean, and so I think there's some conversations we had along the way. So, so I don't think you
Yeah,
don't really need a motion. I
Right.
just think it's a conversation. I think, I guess you guys we create committees that we've assigned people, board members to be a part of. I guess probably wouldn't be bad to get a blessing of the group to have Eric move forward. Just because.
Sure.
I know if I were Eric, I would want to. I'd
Yeah, I guess we could just, do we make a motion of all in favor of
Eric
Eric creating a air quality or an AQI committee? Say aye. Aye, or do we need a second?
Well, I'll second it.
Great, he seconded anyway, great,
Yeah.
perfect.
And
Thank you for doing that, Eric. I
Yeah.
think it is important.
And I gotta work with you on like maybe identifying some staff and
Yeah,
working through it.
okay.
Whether something or nothing.
You want to be on?
Yeah. Well, maybe, I mean, just from the public health standpoint, I think that I have staff on my work. in
Yeah.
Public health, environmental public health is what I do. I have climate and health specialists that work
You might have some advice.
Wow.
100% on air quality, has done a ton of work in childcare,
Wow.
a lot of outreach. So, I mean, I do think from the school's perspective, it's important to make sure that we're really intentional about what we're communicating and how we're communicating. Public health messaging is really difficult at times, especially when it comes to what does this mean? And air quality is one of those things that's difficult to communicate because it is so variable throughout the space or the building. So I just think that it's important that we think through what and how we want to communicate and what it looks like.
And that's consistent with what we experienced, right? For whatever reason, just using the elementary school as an example, the airflow is not good at the front of the school. But by the time you get to the active hallway, it's completely different. Right? It's an interesting, and so it might be where do we place sensors? What does that look like? I mean, there's a lot of conversations to be had in the process.
Right. Well, and if you place sensors in a certain place, that can, then people are thinking you're doing something on purpose to cover something up. I mean, it's just very complicated.
Yes.
And I think it's nuanced in how we think about it, communicate. And ultimately, the goal is to make sure that people have the information they need to make the decisions for themselves and their family, and B, that people, have that public health information. So
Well, thank you all for your support.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
thank you. Thanks for doing it.
Yep.
I'll work to establish the formal committee and get some people on board to help.
Perfect. We have the consent agenda that needs to be approved.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. I have announcements. July 1st, 2026 organizational board meeting at 5:30. That is the only announcement.
Yeah, so just so you guys, for those, I think everyone's been through that now, so it's really it's truly organizational, right? It is a fairly quick meeting, it's not a lot of board business, it's naming who our bank are, who our signers are, all that stuff as well, so that July meeting is a fairly quick one. And I think my only request, I was looking at the calendar, I have a doctor's appointment on August 5th, which is our August meeting in Portland. That if I keep it, which it's a hard doctor to get in to see, I won't be able to make it back for the meeting. So either a request to maybe move it to Tuesday, or I'll try to get back as quick as I can, and you guys can. I mean, it's pretty early in August. I was gonna suggest kicking it back, but that's also, there's conflicts all over as we start in August. So if Tuesday the 4th works for people, that would be, we could move the August meeting, that would be appreciated. Otherwise, I'll just move my.
I call it calendar empty. It's getting old.
Look forward to those days. Yeah, that day works for me.
Enough time for me to make it work.
If that works, then I'll keep that, I'll change it if it works.
It looks like it works for me too.
We'll send out a reminder just to.
Are you good?
Is it off?
Emily, did you say that works for you too?
Yeah.
Okay. Great. Just want to thank everyone again for an amazing year, and Kurt for finding amazing people and your leadership through a crazy year. Thank you.
Yeah.
A meeting adjourned at 8.
There we go.
Yeah,
Well done, sir.
thank you.